Hello and welcome back to the workshop. Today's tech kind of demonstration will be just on how to correctly glue on a Sorbothane pad to a cylinder head. So this is a Lonex cylinder head for the Marui Recoil series gearbox, and it's been machined down by about 1.5 mm on the inner face here by our friends down at Airlab. So what this does specifically is it allows us to use one of Airlab's very nice Sorbothane pads, and when that's glued in it will correct the angle of engagement pretty much perfectly. So there's no need for additional spacers or piston shims or anything like that. So you will need to trim off the second and third teeth from the back of the piston once this is all installed. Now there are a couple of other brands of cylinder head that you can use in the TM recoils. Both Magic Box and Nuprol don't need to be machined, but they're kind of tricky to get hold of. However, the Lalex ones are very, very nice. They have a nice cushion along the front. But anyway, so once you have removed the stock rubber pad, just with a pair of tweezers for the Lonex ones is all you really need. Sometimes you'll need to gouge it out with a flathead screwdriver. You'll get to roughly this stage. If there's still some glue residue, you can use a bit of kind of 180 grit sandpaper to remove any bits of residue there. So what I'm going to do now is key the surface. So we're going to use our handy scribe here and go at right angles, scratching the surface quite thoroughly, and then at 45 degrees to that, until we have this nice consistent crisscross pattern on the cylinder head. So once that's sorted, we can give this a little bit of a clean. See it shining in the light there for you. I'm going to take some of my blue roll and a bit of isopropyl alcohol just on my rag here. We're going to go ahead and clean all this aluminium dust off. So isopropyl is quite nice because it evaporates at room temperature, which is very nice, and it doesn't leave a residue behind. So there's no oily residue, and it'll remove fingerprints and silicone oil and all the usual gump that might get on there. So now I'm just going to use a clean bit of this rag, still with some alcohol on there. Just going to give the Sorbothane pad a quick wipe over. Now when these come from Airlab, they are cleaned already, but it's just good practice to give them another quick wipe. And we're going to apply some glue to the black side. So this is the Sorbothane, and then the white part here is a polyurethane protective cover. So that's the bit that takes the impact and stops the piston head, like especially ported piston heads, from eating away at the Sorbothane. And then the black Sorbothane is what actually absorbs the shock. So we're going to use some Loctite 480. So this is rubber toughened super glue. You can use the normal stuff that you get from most kind of DIY shops, but this stuff is specifically designed for this kind of application. So we're just going to put a series of dots on it round like that, about 8 dots, and then gently hold it in. So we're going to get it centered. Just hold it for a few seconds until the glue starts to bite. And then I'm going to chuck it in my, what looks like a very large vise here, but it's actually just very close to the camera. So we'll just gently hold that in place, not applying much, just enough to keep a little bit of pressure on that, and we'll let that set for 10 or 15 minutes. Now once that is finished, ideally you want to let it cure overnight if possible before you start cycling the gearbox. But yeah, once that is done, you can go ahead and reassemble everything. I'll just quickly show you the second and third teeth have been removed from the back of this Marui piston. So we're just going to tidy that up just a tiny little bit there. So the way I do this is I get my wire snips and just cut off most of the teeth there, and then tidy it up with the knife so it's all nice and flush. If you've got a rack of steel teeth on the back of the piston there, you can use a Dremel or a file if you want to spend ages doing it. But a Dremel with a stone grinding disc like this is ideal for dealing with the steel teeth. So that was nice and easy. Any comments, just give me a shout. And yeah, if you like the video, give us a wee subscribe and a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Cheerio!